Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Tuscaloosa. I'm the minister, Ruth Van Lillian. We are a covenantal community founded on love and a common devotion to our free faith. As we celebrate the many festivals of harvest and the coming of winter, let us welcome each other into this virtual space. We especially welcome those visiting with us today. We are so glad that you are here. We invite you to connect with us in the comments or via our Facebook page or website. We join with all member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association in affirming and promoting the inherent dignity and worth of every person, and justice, equity, and compassion in all human interactions and all systems of society. We bear witness to the pain and suffering of Black, Indigenous, and other persons of color in all communities across this nation, and we continue in our commitment to dismantle systems of oppression in order to build a better world. Black Lives Matter.
Good morning. I'm Steve Borelli. I'm the lay service leader for today. If you want to follow along, you can access our order of service through the link below in the comment section. If you're not seeing the comment section or the link, if you're watching us on a smart TV, for example, you can use YouTube. Go to our UU Congregation of Tuscaloosa YouTube channel through the YouTube app on your PC or your smartphone or your tablet. There's also a number of important announcements in the order of service, so I encourage you to read it carefully. Our church website and Facebook page also have information about upcoming online activities. And finally, we have a listserv that's called NewsNet that members and friends can use to keep up to date on church activities. So we leave no stone unturned in trying to keep everybody up to date. We also invite you after the service, immediately following the service, to an online coffee hour, which will enable us to fellowship with each other and build community. You can see the link for the online coffee hour, again, in the comment section below, or if you're on NewsNet, in the email that you received recently about today's service. The Prelude prepares us for today's service.
We invite you to light a chalice of your own at home. This might be a simple candle in a bowl or something more elaborate. You have made or purchased. Okay. Blow it out if she does that.
We light this chalice as a beacon of our faith and as a reminder of our commitment to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We worship together though we are at a distance, by celebrating that which is sacred to us individually and collectively.
Again did the earth shift. Again did the nights grow long and the days short. And the people of the earth were glad, and they lit candles and bonfires and celebrated each in their own ways.
People look east, the time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. People look seek to taste of the guest is on the way. Furrows be glad, the worth is there. One more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish, that in course the flower may flourish. People look seek to taste of the roses on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is dim. One more light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look seek to taste of the star is on the way.
When we gather in loving community, we remember that we do not travel this earth alone. We share our lives as we light candles and hold each other in meditative thought and reverence. I will light a candle here in my home as you light a candle in yours, and we will observe a moment of silence while you share your joys and burdens by replying in the comments below and engage with each other in celebration and condolence.
This is the time in our service when we share with one another our joys and our concerns. If you are attending the service live through Zoom, you can put your joys and concerns in the chat now. This morning, we are lighting a candle for Edie, who just turned 6. Happy birthday, Edie. We're very sorry to hear that Sharon has several extended family members who are struggling with COVID, and we are hoping for health and recovery for them. Karen T. has also just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Karen. And we're lighting a candle for Shampa's brother, who was hospitalized again earlier this week. Let us spend a few moments together in silence, and I'll close us with a few words. In this season of busyness and confusion and uncertainty, let us remember the things that are true. The love of our family and our friends, the strength of our community, and the hope that things will get better. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be. And I will light a final candle for all of the joys and concerns that were put in the chat today, and all those which went unspoken. Good morning. I hope everyone is having a great day today. I think school is about out, and so now you have time to rest and relax and drive your parents crazy. Be gentle. Your parents also need a break. I wanted to wish you happy holidays. There are many holidays celebrated at this time of year. Some of you are celebrating Chalika at home. Miss Judith, our interim RE director, sent you the materials for that and sent your parents the instructions. So I hope you're having fun with that. And of course, the solstice, the shortest day of the year, is coming very soon. And after that, it'll be Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day. And then there's Kwanzaa. And then there'll be New Year's Day. So lots of holidays all piled in on top of each other. Holidays are so important for us. They break up the routine of our regular lives. They give us things to look forward to. And they provide us with exciting food to eat and games to play and clothes to wear and places to go. And this year it's been a difficult year. And I know there are things that you haven't been able to do because of the coronavirus and trying to keep safe. But there's still a lot that you will be able to do. You can decorate, and you can help your parents cook. You can make your own decorations, and you can help your folks decorate if you decorate a Christmas tree or light the menorah or any of a number of other things. All of these things will make the holidays fun and exciting, and you'll have a good season. So I hope everything goes well, and I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Out of gratitude for all we've been given and all we have now, we share our resources because we love and trust one another, and because this church enriches our lives and empowers us to make our whole world better. We rely upon each other, members and friends, and we appreciate the payment of pledges and generous donations to support the legacy, vision, and work of this church community. Contributions may be made through PayPal by using the link below in the description, or by mailing checks to UUCT. All undesignated contributions will be divided between our Split the Plate partner and our congregation. Our Split the Plate partner for this month is shown on the screen as you're listening to this. Please mark your pledge payment to UUCT in the comments field on PayPal or the memo line of your check. If you prefer to write a check directly to our partner organization, please mail it directly to the address we include in the description of this video. The offertory music will continue in this window as you open a new window to make your contributions. by the generosity of our hearts and the work of our hands, our love is made real. Thank you for your generous gifts.
The young intern stood and walked to the podium. It was her first Christmas service as a minister, and she was tasked with reading a number of passages related to the birth narrative of Jesus. She wanted to get it right, and she was rather nervous as she began to speak. Give ear to these words from the Gospel according to Luke. In that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. Then suddenly an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good noise of great joy. She paused ever so slightly, as the spoonerism seemed to linger in the air. Then she continued quickly, For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger. She stepped back and nearly missed the chair in her haste to sit down. The rest of the service was a blur. Afterward, as she visited with folk over cider and hot cocoa, everyone complimented her performance, and no one said anything about her blunder. A few days later, she received a card in the mail from her supervising minister. All it said was, Great Jew? Indeed he was. Merry Christmas. So, anyone feeling jolly yet? I know some of you have gotten your trees up and decorated your homes. Good for you. I know that others are having trouble getting motivated to decorate. It feels a lot less like ho, 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 and a lot more like bah, humbug. Let's face it. This year, the spirits of Christmas past, present, and future are staying home. And Scrooge is stuck in his gloomy apartment telling Marley to shut the heck up and stop rattling those chains. The Grinch remains in his mountain lair feeling surprisingly chipper this year, whilst the Whos are wearing masks down in Whoville and isolating. No roast beast feast this year, just plates of cold Who hash. Like children with their faces pressed against the toy shop window, eagerly waiting for Santa to bring them their favorites on Christmas morn, we can see the promised end to this miserable pandemic experience. Videos showing bottles of COVID vaccine rattling along on conveyor belts, but our stockings will still be empty on Christmas. In fact, long past Christmas Day. We're told that masking and social distancing must continue for months into the new year. So much for Christmas miracles. Ho, ho, ho. It's hard not to feel sorry for ourselves. It seems impossible to find any Christmas spirit. This year, many are having a blue Christmas, and the usual rush, bustle, and excitement is almost non-existent. I suppose it would be understandable to just give in to the temptation of gloom and despair, just wishing this year would end and a magical new one would take its place with every wrong thing made right and life return to normal. Of course, we really know that January 1st, 2021 will not usher in a new day of unicorns and rainbows. COVID will still be with us for months, and people will still get sick, and some of them will die. This Christmas is threatening to be an extra disappointing end to a thoroughly miserable year, and the new year isn't looking as promising as we'd like. Not in the early part, anyway. Bah humbug. Holiday cheer, Yuletide spirit, a holly jolly Christmas. Are you kidding? My mother spent her last Christmas in a nursing home. She had suffered a stroke and was out of her head with a severe kidney infection. And every time I went to see her, she vented such rage toward me, it was hard to stay in the room with her. Ruth, is this supposed to be a cheerful, uplifting story? 'Cause it's not working. Oh, sorry, did I neglect to mention the funny part of this story? There is a funny part to this story. Mom's stroke left her with something called alien hand syndrome. No, it's a real thing, I promise. From her first hours in the emergency room, she lost track of her left hand. It wandered around, independent of her will and without her knowledge. It grabbed and pulled and played and pushed. "Who's playing with my hair?" she fussed. I looked at her left hand on her head. "You are," I said. She looked at me as if I were crazy. "Mom, that's your left hand playing with your hair." She held up her right hand in front of me as proof to discount my assertion. "Here is my hand. It's not on my head." I felt annoyed at the absurdity of the conversation. I grabbed her left hand from off of her head and held it in front of her. "This is your left hand, and it was on your head." She looked at her left hand for a long moment. Then, in a defiant voice, she declared, "That is not my hand." Oh, I know. It's a sad story about an intelligent, kind-hearted woman who in the last weeks of her life lost her good sense and was sometimes mean as a snake. But the story's also funny. Alien hand syndrome is rare enough that a lot of medical staff had never seen a case. Mom was even invited to join a special study on the subject, but her infection made her so ornery we had to decline. One day I walked into her room and she was busy writing on the back of the hospital menu. When I asked what she was doing, she glared at me and said with venom, "I'm rewriting my will, and you're not in it." I calmly walked over to take a look at her new will, and it was total gibberish, written carefully down the right half of the page. "Okay, Mom, you have at it." The syndrome was part of left side neglect caused by her stroke. She could see with both of her eyes, but her brain could only acknowledge the right side of her field of vision. She needed help walking because she couldn't control her left leg, and because her independent left hand, that alien hand, wouldn't keep hold of the walker. And one day after her mood had improved some, she asked me a strange and alarming question. "Why do I have to share a bed here?" I looked at her in astonishment and glanced at her hospital bed. "What do you mean? You have your own bed right there." She shook her head. "Well, then why does someone keep getting in there with me?" My alarm was increasing rapidly. Was someone abusing my mother? Was someone sneaking in at night to take advantage of an old lady? "Mama, has someone hurt you in some way?" She shook her head. "No, nothing like that. They just get in bed with me, and it's so crowded. There's not enough room. I want a bed to myself." Well, I was very concerned, and I stepped out in the hall to call my husband. Was my mother being molested? Was she in danger? My husband listened and was silent for a moment. And then he started to chuckle. I was annoyed. "What's so funny?" I groused with indignation. I heard him draw a large breath. "Ruth, it's the alien hand thing, the stroke, the neglect phenomenon." And he laughed again, and I started thinking about it. Apparently, my mother's brain was so disconnected from the entire left side of her body that she believed she was encountering a different person sharing her bed night after night. The intruder in her bed was herself, the left side of her own body. And then I started to laugh. The more I thought about it, the more I laughed. It was so ridiculous. It was so absurd. Who could have imagined it? Who could have invented such a story? I didn't even try to explain it to her. She would never have believed me anyway. I mean, would you? I just told her not to worry about it, that her bed buddy wouldn't hurt her. Christmas came and went, and she followed close behind. She died a few weeks later, the day before her 84th birthday. I know it's a sad story, but in a sense it's everyone's story, right? No one gets out of this world alive. Everyone's story ends the same way. So we might as well go out laughing. I promise you that Mama believed that laughing was the best way to go out. And if she had been able to understand what was going on to her in those last few weeks, she would have laughed until she cried. "Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion," said salon owner Truvy in the play Steel Magnolias. Well, that's Christmas 2020 in a nutshell. Laughter through tears. Yes, there is plenty to cry about, more than enough misery and fear and anger to go around. It seems impossible to find anything to smile about, and yet I promise there is. Human beings are flawed and strange, and sometimes even crazy. I don't have to invent funny stories. I only have to pay attention to the people around me. As a minister, I am well positioned to see folk in the midst of solemn, dignified occasions slip up, fall down, goof, gaffe, and generally make fools of themselves. And I am the chief of fools. We might as well laugh. If we can't find something to laugh about, then we're not paying attention. If we can't find something to cheer us up in the midst of the worst health crisis in the last 100 years, well, we're just not putting enough effort into it. Haven't we learned by now that crisis may bring out the worst sometimes, but it also frequently brings out the best in people? Did you see this story in the news recently? Chris Kennedy is a father who lives in Little Rock, Arkansas, and he received a nasty note full of racist insults, purportedly from Santa Claus, complaining about the inflatable black Santa in Kennedy's front yard. The note writer suggested Kennedy, who is African American, didn't belong in the neighborhood and should move out. After the local news reported the story, neighbors from around the area went out of their way to express their support for Kennedy's family and to admire their yard decorations. In fact, within a few days, black inflatable Santas began popping up all around the neighborhood, including in the display put up by the Homeowners Association. I love that. Such a nasty, racist letter is worth some rage, to be sure. But the neighborhood's response is amazing. I laughed out loud when I saw it on TV. Made me want to go out and buy an inflatable black Santa for my yard. Unfortunately, my yard is nearly vertical. An inflatable Santa would look like he was flying out of the hillside. There is cheer to be found, my friends, if we pay attention. Yes, let's acknowledge all the bad, but let's work harder to find the good. It's okay to laugh as we cry. We will remember this holiday season for many reasons. We will look back and say, in spite of everything that was going on, we found laughter and community and, well, love. So deck your halls, hang your wreaths, hang in there. Don't hang yourself. Don't hang anyone else. The sad, the mad, the bad will continue to demand our attention. Don't be fooled. There is glad to be found if we look for it. Find some happy for your holidays, some jolly in your holly. Insist on some cheer in spite of this year. Hope is on the horizon. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la.
Please read the words in the order of service.
As we extinguish this chalice flame, let us remember that we carry the light within ourselves, which brings healing to a broken world and hope for the days ahead.
Before the benediction, I wanted to make a special announcement. The worship committee and I are planning a special drive-in candlelight service for Christmas Eve. The service itself will begin at 5, but we want everyone to come early because we're going to park in a special arrangement. Everyone will stay in their cars and watch the service, which will be on the front lawn of the church, and you will use your smart device, phone probably, to listen to the service while you stay safely in your cars. So please plan to come and park around 4:30 while there's still some light to see, and please remember and plan to stay in your cars for the entire service. It will probably not be any longer than 45 minutes at the most. So we look forward to seeing everyone. And again, because of safety concerns, we don't want people carpooling because that defeats the purpose. So only your household in your car, but do tell people about it so that they'll know. And of course, we'll be sending out more information. Siblings and kindred, there is plenty to cry about, but there is also still laughter. There is also still holiday cheer to find. So let's laugh through our tears and let's find all that is worthy of celebration in this holiday season. Go in peace.